It's 30 billion for TikTok without the algorithm. It's 300 billion with the algorithm. The algorithm is just insane. That's what we're after here, because there's just nothing like it. 7 million Americans actually make like a full-time income on TikTok. It's almost extortion at this point, because America is basically saying, hey, sell 50% of TikTok to us or it's banned. When you're in the movie theater, they have cameras that like see your face. So every time you smile, every time like you're like kissing your girl, whatever, that's all data analytics that they store. I think people that are online, that are in crypto, the online boom is really here. With what happened with Trumpcoin, I think it was like 3,000 millionaires were created. The game has kind of changed now, because now it's like getting political.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to my podcast. My name is Justin, and for the last 25 years, I've owned and operated a number of businesses, including healthcare, specializing in men and women's health for hormonal replacement and sexual wellness. Today, I have Chase with me. We're going to be discussing some of the changes in business as a whole for the last 25 years, going from more of a brick and mortar to a online presence, especially in the healthcare industry. And on this podcast, we get to some of the political issues as well. We don't hold anything back. So Chase, thank you very much for being here with me today.
What's up, guys?
Could you tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
So my name's Chase. I'm from Texas. Now I'm here in Vegas. Kind of do a wide range of things, mostly e-commerce, building brands, and drop shipping. So we have a lot to unpack here because there has been a lot of changes, a lot of sanctions. So e-commerce has pretty much changed, but as you know, internet is a big deal for companies. So there's a lot of changes going on that we are going to talk about.
So when I started dealing in different businesses 25 years ago, everything was brick and mortar, right? Everything was about advertising, getting somebody to come to your location. I remember even in the fast food restaurants, right? Delivery was something that's unheard of. Nowadays, there's Uber Eats and some of these other things will go and pick up your food for you. It's almost the laziness has gotten to a peak level for us. I remember when pizza delivery was a new thing, and that was pretty much the only industry that had that as a consistent basis was for that. Now it's crazy to see the number of big box stores that we knew growing up as branded was there. I mean, it started with Toys R Us disappearing. Now you got Party City disappearing. Things like Walmart closing down.
They're all fizzling out.
Is unheard of, right? And it's because of some of these big online stores. You got the Amazon. You got these TikTok stores. You got the Shopifys where everybody's able to order things online for a convenience factor and having them delivered, which on one hand sounds very convenient, right? Getting all these things without having to leave your home, or even the drive up locations to some of these Walmarts and Targets and other things, be able to order everything and have it picked up. On the other hand, though, it's what is it doing to us as a whole, right? The number of job losses and things like that, or just, having the physical locations gone. But for me, when I'm looking at it from a healthcare perspective and seeing the number of things like Amazon getting on board of pharmacy deliveries, right? Which is one side of the coin. The other side of the coin is dealing with some of these health related products, right? You got these supplemental things or nutraceuticals or other items that are available online. And you've dealt a lot with these, and I'm sure you've seen a lot of uptake in some of these things. But where are these things really coming from? And how do you know what's really in them? And how do people that are getting them know if they're good for them when they're not? And when how do you know what the difference between the stuff is? How have you seen this before, and what have you dealt with it?
It was really crazy. Like one company called Prime Bites, they're like a big, I don't know if you've seen them, the protein brownies. They're going crazy on TikTok. Everyone's like in the videos talking about, oh, eat this, whatever. And it's just like when you look in the ingredients of a lot of these products, you'll really be tricked into thinking it's good for you, and it's just really complete shit. So it's really crazy the marketing ability of a lot of these foods. And then not only that, it's just you don't really know what you're getting, because a lot of people don't look at the ingredients. Like the average person that is seeing this, they see an influencer and then bam, that's all they really need to see. And now they're ingesting something. So anything from like these crude proteins to the dyes, I think they have until 2027 until to change it up. I mean, that's kind of what we're going to unpack here, because you don't really know what you're ingesting. Like a lot of it is not FDA approved. And I mean, even like NAD, awesome stuff. We have some of the cleanest supplements on the market that we're going to actually be showing you guys. but a lot of it coming from China, coming from India. I mean, how pure is this stuff? What do you think the differences are?
So what are the regulations that when you're dealing in your industry, when you have clients or doing drop shipping, what are the regulations of disclosure? Like, what do they have to actually show?
So for TikTok, all you have to show is the ingredients. That's it. So TikTok has kind of revolutionized it to make it more easy. As long as you're showing the ingredients, that's all you need to actually sell it on TikTok Shop, compared to like Amazon. You need like the health certificates. You need a lot more money invested into the testing and the laboratory testing of all the products. So that is, pretty crazy to me.
So, well, you keep mentioning TikTok, and TikTok has that potential ban. I know it was kind of stayed for now, but it's $1 billion industry on that shop. If that goes away, how does that influence what you do, or these local markets? Is this something that you think is going to just shift over to something?
It's hard to say, because I think, 7 million Americans actually make like a full-time income on TikTok. So businesses really do rely on it. So we're going to see, a big crash when it comes to that aspect. But I think that the future of it's kind of rocky, because it's almost extortion at this point, because America is basically saying, hey, sell 50% of TikTok to us or it's banned. Which, it is a big power move, but they're going to buy it. I think Meta's going to buy it without the algorithm. It's $30 billion for TikTok without the algorithm. It's $300 billion with the algorithm.
What's the algorithm?
So it's kind of a secret. Like, that's like the real mystery of it. They do all types of stuff. I'm sure, not to go deep down the rabbit hole, I'm sure they listen through our phones, facial recognition, all that kind of stuff. But yeah.
So it's more
crazy.
than just having
their algorithm is just insane. That's what we're after here. Because there's just nothing like it. You can truly change your company overnight.
So it's like that old saying, if people are having a conversation about couches, and next thing they see on their phone is all the advertisement couches.
Yeah,
listening.
It's real. And when you're in the movie theater, they have cameras that see your face. So every time you smile, every time you're kissing your girl, whatever, that's all data analytics that they store.
I'm sure they've seen other stuff at the movie theaters too.
It's very deep.
A little interesting there. So specifically getting back to the supplements and things that can be sold, right? If they're allowed to show the ingredients, right? Is that really enough? You said Amazon, they make them show like health certificates or other testing materials. But if it's just TikTok is the biggest source right now, right? Mm-hmm. And they're pushing, some of these influencers, like you said, are out there and they're showing the brownie bar, right? And people aren't looking at it. The ingredients themselves don't really say a whole lot, right? It's not really emphasized. It's kind of like when I remember when they started making people with cigarettes put on the label, this isn't good for kids, right? And then they started making it put it at eye level for kids, so that they would say, hey, this isn't healthy. You're not allowed to put advertising at certain things. Is that really enough of a deterrent for these people? Should there be actual disclaimers on these ads specifically about where the product actually comes from? Hey, this comes from China, not the saying that that's a bad thing, but or this comes from India, or this comes from an unregulated pharmacy. More disclosures specifically about the product. Would that deter people rather than saying, hey, this comes from a pharmacy that's licensed with, as a manufacturer?
Yeah, it's a real gray area. I'm very curious to know the purity and the quality of like example for NAD, like India from China to made here. Are there a lot of supplements actually made here, or is everyone outsourcing that kind of thing?
That's a good question. And as much as I'd love to say if it's made in the United States, it's going to be the best kind of a thing. I think we all know that there are a lot of things that are allowed here in the United States that aren't allowed, especially when it comes to our own, food, right? There's a big thing right now with the red dye number 4 being banned by everybody, right? And it's something that's been banned all around the world for years and years and years because it's poisonous, causes cancer, proves, but yet we've allowed it here. It's not even good enough for animal consumption or makeup, but they're going to allow it for our food. And then people are worried about what we're getting from overseas, whether it's better than what we make here. It's a whole nother conversation, right? I wish I could say, hey, what we make here in the United States is always the best for us. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, it really comes down to, I think, what political avenue or what money's behind it with kind of allowed. One of the things that people are really kind of concerned about, is RDK, with being the new health administrator, what does that mean for us, right? You got both sides of the political campaigns that are complaining about stuff. For me, I look at it from a standpoint of it doesn't really matter who's in place. It seems to be, more about what the political agenda is. For me, I'm looking at it from a standpoint of, can we get some factual, actual medical advice on something that's actually legitimate for once, right? About, I'm all for banning some of the items that we saw over the last few years and some of these, what they were BS kind of health and safety kind of regulations of wearing masks and other things, I think we have bigger fish to fry than just that. Things they put in the water, things that, people talk about conspiracy theories all day long, but it's pretty factual. You can see, unfortunately, they make the biggest waves about things, and then the other side freaks out rather than really get to the what's really going on, right? Heaven forbid a true pandemic really comes across the world again. Can we really even trust what's coming out with the advice we're being given? Ultimately the people that are making these decisions really should be medical people that actually give true medical advice. We don't need another Fauci that's giving a bunch of political agenda kind of stuff. I'd rather have, they silence the actual doctors that were actually saying, hey, I'm a practicing physician. I've been doing this for years, and this is what I've seen in my practice. Even if it's not 100% of because they don't have all the information. If they've been practicing in this field and this is what's been going on and these are the actual evidence-based things that they have, it should be listened to and brought up, right?
Absolutely.
And that's one of the things that we look at. We got the left and the right that are arguing what's going to go back and forth on these types of things. And it's a little scary when you talk about what we're going to allow them to actually do, right? And even getting back to, again, what's coming out of America for these shops, right? I'm all for getting us ease of access to these stuff. But whether we can go to the mom and pop place down the street, for instance, there is a big push with these GLP-1s, right? The semaglutide, trizipatide and everything. And the cost was always so expensive when you're going with the name brand. And then, they can't get it for diabetic people because all the weight loss people are trying to take it, which it was readily available, right? They're trying to increase the cost of things. But then you get it from some local pharmacies that are trying to remake it, and they're cutting it down with sulfates and other stuff, which is hurting people and poisoning people. They're, I made reference to them being like the local crack house that's trying to split the product, right? That's always been my fear with doing anything online and whether you order. We've all ordered. I know I've ordered some sneakers that I thought were pretty cool, right? I was like, let me get these, ordered them online. All of a sudden they don't show up for weeks at a time because you're wondering where they come from. And then you get them and have a funky smell to them. They fall apart in the rain shoes and they're generic. And then you walk across the carpet.
That's a good analogy, because how many times have you ordered something online and then once it actually comes, it's like completely different? So think about that with supplements. It's like kind of scary.
Exactly. How do you know it's not sawdust on the inside? I mean, and what is the regulation behind it?
There's only a certain amount of percent of what is actually labeled on it that has to be in it, right? When it comes to the ingredients, like it only has a certain level. Like even if it has like some toxins in it, if it's like below a certain level, then they can put it in it.
Which is, is
that
everything
how it works?
Yeah, it is. But it's, think of it this way, like fig Newtons. I don't know if you remember those as a kid. If you look at them, they are allowed so many fly parts per fig that, so you're eating that kind of stuff. Well, it is what it is, right? Everybody freaked out when we were kids. Oh my gosh, we're eating bugs, right? Well, they're in there. They have to disclose it. But, when you're dealing with something like that. But that to me is a better idea than understanding like, hey, how do I know that it says that this is, as you mentioned, NAD, which is a great type of supplement for people. How do you know it's not really sawdust on the inside? What did you get, right? Or is it sugar content? I was having a discussion with, well, I had a discussion with
placebo effect's real too.
It really is. Frank Mir is a regular guest on my show. Was telling me about some stuff he was taking, and it didn't match up with his blood work, right? That he was doing. He's openly talk about this kind of stuff, and he was really wondering what he was getting, right? Was it really, like for instance, just testosterone labeled as something else, which would explain a lot of things for him, right? And this is stuff that he was getting places he probably shouldn't have, right?
Right.
And, he was...
Better prices.
He was doing what he thought was best without the understanding and knowing that he knows now. But it's the same thing where you look at these people, is it just caffeine pills that people are trying to get, and it causes other stuff? And that's dangerous things to think about, right? But then when it comes down to these regulations, if they regulate it more, right, and force them to prove what they have or get random testings or something to that nature, would that put a crashing halt? Because a lot of times what I see in these businesses that are coming through for drop shipping is really just, they're all kind of going to the same couple of sources and white labeling it, right?
Yeah.
And so everybody's kind of getting the same kind of run of the mill crap with new, prettier labels on it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, should they have to disclose that this is just a repackaged product, right? Other than an actual thing. Because all they're doing is really getting a better endorsement, right?
Yep.
Or getting a better influencer to kind of promote this out, which again, you know,
we know how that ends every time.
Exactly. Yeah. So, you know, being that this is your world, right? What does that mean if they add more regulation to this kind of stuff? Or do you see that as a good thing? Or does that, you know, kill the competition, or does that put too many restraints on?
Good question. It's going to be a good thing for the people of America, because I mean, we do deserve, there should be a different level of disclosure that we're not getting, that we've never got. And I mean, it's going to be bad for the companies. A lot of them are going to go out of business. I mean, if they actually had to disclose everything that they're doing or what's inside of what, I mean, I think everyone would be absolutely shocked.
So let me ask you this, you know, when we're talking about the political change of everything that's happening in America right now, right? It seems to be a true polarization right now in America, right? People just seem to be on one side or the other, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
the divide is here for sure.
It really is, right? And people are either, and I've known a lot of people that were on the left that are now on the right,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not. And for the most part, for the people that have made that switch, it's not that they necessarily like or agree with Trump all of a sudden, right? For the most part, even those people still don't like Trump. But what it is that they are looking for somebody just to tell them the truth, right? Or feel like they're just not being shoveled a bunch of shit. And
I think everyone has realized the misinformation. Everyone's kind of waking up in that and saying, hey, like, vaccine thing came, disappeared. They made this. Now we have like drones flying over New York. They're not disclosing it. Trump's going to disclose it, but I think people are really catching on. A lot of the people that didn't like Trump before, I think now, I mean, they've come to their senses. Not everyone, of course, but I mean, I think America is really waking up in that aspect. And we know that there's a lot of misinformation being spread, and there's a big divide now. Like, you're either on this side or you're on this side. And I think now it's stronger than it's ever been.
What do you think that's going to do with that kind of divide in America to set the overall? Well, people are worried about the economy.
It's going to be the rich and poor. It's really coming to that. Either you're middle class and you're kind of crumbling, or, you know, you're super wealthy. Because, I mean, with these tax advantages, people, you know, you can do a lot of things to make money and extra, you know, government money. So if you're not like on that level of it, you're kind of in the middle. I think that they're going to slowly start to crumble, and it's going to be a divide. But I think now with Trump in office, I think the economy is going to boom, because crypto is flooding into our nation, and I do believe will be the crypto capital. So I think people that are online, that are in crypto, retail businesses are kind of fade out, and the online boom is really here. And I think crypto and online sales kind of tie in together.
So it's an interesting thing. So the cryptocurrencies that are kind of out there, you talked about, earlier you mentioned
Trumpcoin.
7 million Americans have some type of online store or business that they get a full-time income, which I wasn't aware of. That's pretty staggering numbers, you know, and the crypto stuff, you know, I've known a lot of people that have been in the crypto game for a long time, right? And that's always something that, for me, I've seen a lot of people make money that just suddenly disappears really quickly, or they've just completely lost their money on stuff that they bought in too late. And with the constant changing of that, I don't know if there's a lot of general knowledge of what people have and what crypto really is. You know, NFTs are a great example, right? They were kind of a hype thing. Everybody got all excited about. People were paying millions of dollars for some type of picture.
That was crazy, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you know, that monkey picture.
Crazy time.
You know, Justin Bieber was famous for buying some giant picture that's now worth nothing, right? And for millions of dollars. And so the crypto era is very similar. You know, you got that Hawk Tua girl that they always talked about that. She created her own cryptocurrency. She promoted it. And, you know, now she's under investigation because it dumped instantly and her people sold it for her. You know, and people are saying, oh, she's going to be in trouble for all this kind of stuff. Well, you know, I don't think she necessarily did anything herself wrong. I don't think she's smart enough or had any intentions to do it. Nothing against her personally. But yeah, I mean, there's some legal ramifications on some of those things. I've known people that have bought small low cryptocurrency, a couple $100 worth of a coin, and then the very next day it was worth 6 cents, and they're like, oh my gosh, I just lost $30,000.
Yeah.
I'm not, the regulations on it. I know Bitcoin was the first one that got started straight on Wall Street, and I've known people that were in it when it was mining only, worth nothing. And now, they're very happy about it hitting 100,000. And it's great where the limit goes there. But as a whole, do you really see the crypto market, because there's so many variants and so many other things all doing, or is it all going to really be based off of some type of variant of the Bitcoin and these other ones that kind of piggyback or base themselves on it?
What happened with Trumpcoin, I think it was like 3,000 millionaires were created. It's kind of, the game is kind of changed now, because now it's like getting political. So I still think it's a very small percentage of America that actually is in crypto. A lot of people have lost money. A lot of people got burned. Some people have lost everything. Whether it's like knowledge of not knowing how to send the money to the right wallet, not knowing how to swap it, someone attacking your wallet, you clicking on an email and getting drained. I mean, there's all types of things that can go wrong. But I think within the next 5 years, we'll see an insane bull run with crypto.
One of the comments is I've had this conversation with somebody in the past, and you relate it to national currencies of different countries, right? Every country's out there. It's all based on what is it actually founded on.
Do you think the US dollar is still going to hold its value?
Well, the US dollar used to be based on gold, right? That's what it kind of funded. We still have more gold here in the United States than anywhere else. And other countries have sent their gold to our Fort Knox and things like that. So it's rather interesting. But our dollar isn't based on gold anymore. It's based on our military power and who we are politically. And so the moment, that ever changed, then the US would be done. But that's why other countries don't have the value that they have. They don't have the military might. They don't have the sway. And so it changes. So people are always saying, oh, is the US dollar going to be, because we'll think of it this way. They have the oil for the world is based on the US dollar. And then the other pack was trying to change
it's really
that.
crazy when you think about it.
They were trying to change it so it wouldn't be based on the US dollar anymore. They wanted to do that. And would that affect it? It certainly could affect some monetary value of the US dollar. But again, based on our own military might and everything else and who we are and who we have in office, I think is going to be a huge impact.
I don't see it going anywhere. Actually.
Well, let's face it. Unfortunately, we're the policemen of the world. I mean, we really are. Whether for good or bad in the other, we're always dragged into everything to be the mediator and the military might to tell these people they're not doing something right, or we have to keep the peace here or else. And because of that, our dollar is what regulates everything. The problem is we just print too much of it to give it away, without fixing our own things.
Because they were saying that China actually owns most of the NBA teams and a lot of majority of real estate in the US. Do you think?
I've heard of a lot of that stuff. You got the big companies, BlackRock and all the others that are buying up all the houses. And why are they doing that? And they're renting them back. There's always those. And who's really behind all that stuff? And I've heard the same thing that a lot of Chinese billionaires are actually the ones who own a lot of this stuff.
What's our current debt? You want to take a guess?
Oh, it's in the trillions.
How many trillions?
Oh, 250 trillion or something like that.
Oh, it's down now. Okay. So as of January 24, 2025, U.S. national debt is at 36.22 trillion. So 36 trillion.
Let's be honest.
Does it really matter?
At this point, there's so many things going back and forth. But, speaking of China, and the debt they have, with all the stuff that's changing and all the tariffs that are changing too, and regulations. So all the products that you're getting for your places, and, again, manufacturing, whether it's good or bad, unknown at this point. But how is that going to affect our ability to supply some of these things?
So right now with China, it's actually crazy. Just like with fabric, I'll kind of go into that a little bit. If you order a wholesale order, say you have like a clothing brand or even supplement, they're going to physically test the DNA of the fabric. So if they detect that it's from Shenzhen, which is where like a lot of the fabrics and wholesale supplements come from in China, they're going to simply just ship it right back. So now, China's going to be cut out. All the suppliers now are going to Vietnam. Because they're factories and there's no tariff, there's no taxes. So with e-commerce, these China suppliers, it's really hard to even stay profitable because we could order supplements from China, but the shipping is going to be more than the actual pallet of products. So they're slowly getting phased out. And through the past 5 years, every single year, that shipping fee goes up and up and up and up. And now it's almost at the point where I can't even work with my China suppliers. I have to move to Vietnam.
So if they're going to be testing some of the DNA or based on, like you said, that if it's Chinese based, even if they move to Vietnam, isn't it still show as Chinese based? Are they going to?
Well, Vietnam has a like very like specific way that they like produce it organically, the fibers. So when they come in, they can see that. So as long as it's produced in Vietnam, it's okay. But if they can see if it's produced in Shenzhen, it immediately gets sent back.
Interesting.
So I know like a lot of people that have millions of like units of stuff that is just on hold right now.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So it's a lot of money tied up as well. I mean, it affects a lot of things. It just trickles down and causes like a cause and effect that you wouldn't really like think just one simple thing would cause.
So Chase, if people have questions or want to get in touch with you, they have drop shipping questions or interested in getting into that realm, how would they contact you?
So my Instagram is ecomcmoney, ECOMC money. And yeah, hit me up, guys. We have a lot of money to make online. If you're not there now, I mean, you might as well start looking into it.
Yeah, sounds like it'll be the way of the future. So thanks for watching, guys. If you heard anything or saw anything you liked, make sure to give us a like and follow.
And hit that subscribe button.
We'll see you on the next one. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.